How about now? Still the funny noise? One, two, three, four. Oh, good. It's unbelievable. I don't change anything here, and still something always changes. I'm sorry for the technical issue here. So welcome again. This is Dr. Meskó, the medical futurist, and thank you so much for all of you for being here today as well. I have been doing this for a few weeks now, doing these live Q&As on YouTube, and so many of you have participated that I'm really grateful for you all for being here. Thank you for confirming that the sound is good. You would never find out what I did. I just unplugged the USB cable to the mic and plugged it in again. Amazing technical stuff. So at the Medical Futurist, we, if you don't know me or the Medical Futurist itself, we try to provide context around digital health technologies. We analyze news about digital health technologies and artificial intelligence, and then we try to get the meaning, the context out of those news and announcements to help physicians, patients, policymakers worldwide better understand what's going on in healthcare in the 21st century. We do the same at the Medical Futurist Institute through peer-reviewed research. You are more than welcome to check out both sites, both medicalfuturist.com and tmfinstitute.org. All our papers are published in open access. All of them are accessible by everyone. And at the Medical Futurist, we publish articles, analysis twice a week, and a lot of social media analysis every single day, actually many times a day, and even YouTube videos and executive summaries and so many other things that I hope you will check out after this live session. We have quite a special topic for today, the future design of hospitals. I see that there are questions already. Please keep them coming. I will do my best to answer as many as I can. And also some of you have sent questions through the Eventbrite website before the live even started. So I will try to tackle those too. Plenty of questions to start with. But before diving in, I wanted to show you something that made me laugh. Years ago, there was a TV series called The Nick. It was about the dawn of modern medicine 200 years ago in the United Kingdom, in England. And there was a special episode when in this now modern hospital, an inventor came in saying that he invented an X-ray machine that through which he could do X-ray analysis of bones and structures like that. And the hospital manager wanted to give it a try. So here is what happened. Let me show it to you. Oh, maybe you won't hear a sound, but I can. I think you won't hear a sound now, but I can tell you what's happening is he wants to give it a try, and of course he stands there, and there will be a brain X-ray being done about him, and then the inventor asks him to stay still for about an hour, and then they will have an X-ray. You see, that's why hospital design is so important. You can't just drop in a new technology into the system. You have to make sure that it can be implemented in the right way. It can still remain practical, and physicians and patients will be able to use it. And one more thing about this design issue, I came across a video a while ago about the hospital of the future. It was done in the 1950s, and what was staggering to me was that they came up with the idea of, first of all, people smoked in the hospital, and then there was the idea of the baby drawer through which babies could be slid back and forth. It's an amazingly technological concept, and the narrator says that it's an amazing design feature. And now hospitals serve like wellness centers. Well, even 70 years later, we are still quite far away from that. But it's good to see such examples showing the importance of good design in healthcare. And I brought together a few features for you today about this topic. And I hope that you will find some of those useful. And of course, again, we will go through your questions too. First of all, we have two articles published last week on medicalfuturist.com about this exact topic. One was about the future of hospital design from the inside the point of care perspective. So every design element or feature or process within the realms of hospitals and healthcare systems. Like how to accommodate digital health technologies, how telemedicine should be a part of the hospital design, because now, physicians spend hours doing video consultation calls with patients. And of course, they shouldn't do that in the regular setting. They should have the right spaces for that within the hospital. And this is a design issue, a design need that needs to be met, needs to be met. There needs to be flexible design about these hospitals, and as technologies come and go, they have to be able to adjust the design elements of the hospital to those. We talk about enhancing the workplace for caregivers, such as reducing alarm fatigue. You walk into a hospital today like an ICU, and you will hear so many warning signs and signals that you won't understand what to pay attention to. And this is an issue that even physicians have to face these days. But with artificial intelligence, through a recent study, it was shown that it is possible to reduce alarm fatigue and remove all those unnecessary alarm signals from the system, as many as possible, and only keep those that require the attention of medical professionals. And patient design. Patient design is a crucial concept. Just one example about patient design. Patient design means that you involve patients on the highest level of decision making of that organization. Hospital, pharma company, policymaker organization, government, who cares? But you do involve patients on the highest level of that. One example I saw was in the Netherlands, where they invited patients to have their voices heard before designing a new facility of the hospital. And patients had their voices heard, and they wanted to have round tables so they could sit at the table with their physician as equal partners, not in the traditional hierarchy, sitting behind the word desks, not accessing monitors or data, just physicians having access to that, but not patients. No. Round table, being equal partners. So patient design is such a crucial concept of modern healthcare that every organization should embrace in a way or two this concept. All right. So again, thank you so much for keeping the questions coming in. John Shalman has a great question. It's a good question to start a stream with. Can you speak to the limitations of digital innovations for healthcare, which are the main emphasis, it seems? I guess you mean that, the basic barriers, I guess, to adopting digital health technologies. One is certainly the stakeholders of healthcare adopting technologies very slowly. If you look at the stethoscope, it took the inventor of the stethoscope 30 years, and that was a wooden tube back then, to get the idea across that we should use this technology for augmenting the sound that we hear, the cardiac and lung sounds. And eventually we adopted the technology, and it has become even the symbol of being a physician, but it took decades to get there. So the stakeholders of healthcare being very slow at adopting technologies is one thing. The lack of regulations and the incentives is the other thing. If the government is not able to provide the right regulations, then physicians are simply not able to implement those technologies in action because they are not allowed to. They can only do that through evidence-based protocols and the right regulations, because that's how they can keep patients safe. But if there are no regulations or not good enough regulations, then it's impossible. Maybe another thing is that many companies producing these technologies don't understand or don't value that evidence-based medicine is at the heart of practicing medicine today. If they cannot provide the right amount of evidence behind their technology, based in peer-reviewed studies and clinical trials, simply no professional will be able to use those technologies again. All right. The future is quiet. Haha. But good point. It was a very, I heard it for a second. It was a very funny noise that I could produce through my mic before, but hopefully now everything is okay. All right. Vivid Galot has a question about, it's a strange question. How do you vision an intelligent scanner? Well, I can tell you my experience with using artificial intelligence guided portable ultrasound systems, and those scanners work like any gadget you can use with your smartphone. Some of them are Bluetooth connected or they are wired, but I use a portable scanner, a very small one, handheld scanner with my smartphone. I can see the picture, the image on my smartphone. They can be connected quite easily, and everything is AI guided. I don't even have to know how to do a liver ultrasound examination. I just type in that I want to examine the liver, and the system will guide me through that procedure. It's pretty mind blowing. That's how I envision the future of scanners. Toolkit 7 has a question about health IT and infrastructure. What changes in infrastructure, new technology, or machines in future hospitals could make it more efficient? What a nice question. I don't think it's a technology or a machine that could make a hospital more efficient. That's why digital health is a cultural transformation. I think the cultural transformation could make healthcare more efficient. By this, I mean that by involving patients, empowered patients on the highest level of decision making, by allowing them to bring in their data that they can obtain about themselves, about their lifestyle insights, health or disease management, by allowing physicians to, or not allowing it, not the right word, empowering physicians to use artificial intelligence-based decision support systems to analyze those data sets and come up with the right decisions. Well, that's how you can make something more efficient, not by adding more technologies into that. I guarantee you that if I arm a hospital today with the state-of-the-art technologies I personally know about, I guarantee that the quality of care will not get better, not by tomorrow, not even by 6 months, because people work in the system. So if someone embraces the cultural transformation, then there is a big chance to make the system more efficient. Thank you for the question. Vikram Chandwani has a question about the mindset of physicians. What an excellent question to ask. How to change doctors' mindset to adapt future technologies through well-designed medical curriculum. I'm saying that because I have been teaching medical students for years about digital literacy, the futurist mindset, and all these. So the ideal way would be shaping the medical curriculum to bring in the futurist mindset, skills like digital literacy, and assessing future technologies themselves. And then this way we can gradually prepare them for whatever is coming next in their practices. But practically what's happening is that patients have been making physicians change their mindset. Because when one physician has so many empowered patients that simply they start realizing that they have to evolve themselves, then shift happens. But when the driving force comes from outside, it doesn't always work that way. Philip, of course, I will, Paul 669, I will answer the questions why even bright too. I have to, juggle here with questions coming through online, live, and questions I've received before. I will answer all the questions, I guarantee you that. Philip Nimeti, what are the future designs and technologies for vision corrections at eye specialist? Will laser surgeries for vision correction get improvements, or is there a new possible technology coming? I'm not an expert on this topic. Maybe an ophthalmologist could have a better idea about that. But I can imagine future design elements implemented in healthcare because of those scanners and eye vision analysis machines like IQ that can help even non-professional, not ophthalmologists, obtain information useful enough to aid the medical decision making of ophthalmologists. But specifically about laser surgeries, I honestly have no idea. This is such a very specific topic that not even ophthalmologists, maybe even surgeons could have a better idea about what's coming next. I took part in an ophthalmology congress when I used to travel around the world about 1.5 years ago in Italy. And they talked about fully automated surgical robots specifically used in ophthalmology operations, because there the scale is so tiny that because of the huge hand movements can be transformed into even big movements on that tiny scale. It made sense to use fully automated surgical robots. So I guess new design features will have to come with using such fully automated surgical robots. Adam Schmidt, welcome to the stream again. What an excellent question to ask. Do you think that future hospitals will be so efficient that there won't be a need for so many hospitals? That's a great question. I think healthcare will be that efficient that we won't need that many hospital beds for chronic patients. Maybe that's how I can reiterate the answer. I do believe that because of the way digital health is making patients the point of care with, devices like ECG sensors, 6-lead ECG sensors, and this new evolution of connected devices like this blood pressure cuff that has an ECG built in and a digital stethoscope. It's pretty neat. Stuff like that. I can imagine that chronic care will keep on shifting towards the point of care wherever patients are. But it doesn't mean that there won't be a need for hospitals, but the need for hospitals will be different. If I need a big radiology machine, I will have to go to a point of care hospital. And there are portable ultrasound devices, but CT scans won't get that small even 20 years from now. For intensive care, acute care, we will have to go to hospitals. Even maybe sometimes for prevention, like using a hospital like a wellness center, walking in, getting analysis. Of course, I'm talking about the far-fetched future here, but maybe these three major purposes could define what you need hospitals for. Nemingham has a very valid question. Let me show it to you. Do you feel that medical technology helps reduce inequalities in healthcare? I should say yes, but in practice it doesn't. It simply doesn't. I saw studies showing that the 1% wealthiest Americans live 10 years longer already than the bottom 1%, just based on wealth. So if you think about it, this is just about the access to healthcare. Imagine how big that gap is going to become when the issue becomes about I can 3D bioprint liver tissue, but you have to wait for a transplantation, somebody to die. I can use an exoskeleton after an accident and you cannot afford it. So this wealth gap is going to become a biological gap. And I'm saying that because as things stand today, the access to advanced technologies because of their cost is a large factor in making inequalities even worse. But if you look at the same issue from the digital health literacy perspective, then I see good examples how it's possible to support mentors who can help patients understand better their health literacy and digital health literacy. So in a funny way, it seems that there are cultural solutions for technological problems. Ooh, Pedro Fontana Jr. has a very exciting question. And thank you so much for the questions coming in. I can't even jump back to the Eventbrite list of all the questions. I'm very glad about that. Can you please speak about digital innovation related to the follow-up of patients after they are discharged by the hospitals? How should hospitals design their telehealth protocols? Well, we've seen this happening already. The American Medical Association, the Canadian Medical Association have published excellent protocols about telehealth consultations. I think it's on the table already. But about follow-up with technologies, I can imagine that the hospital, to be able to discharge a patient with a technology, a smartphone app, a health sensor being given to them, for that the hospital has to have the right knowledge and skill set of their workforce to be able to keep with the influx of data coming from those apps and sensors while after patients were discharged. And that's what I don't see happening so often, unless there's a very specific reason, like in epilepsy, they know exactly how to use one device, so they allow patients to go home with that one device, and of course they can deal with that. But if we look at the cardiology department and you want to send home different kinds of patients with a range of medical conditions, you will need a range of medical sensors, and your health ID system must be able to accept the input of all these different sensors and to input those data into medical records. And it doesn't sound like something, like rocket science, but I still don't see this happening across globally, across healthcare systems. But in an ideal way, what could happen is that a healthcare professional, a cardiologist, could send home a patient with the right app or device they can choose for them because they have the right knowledge and the right list to choose from. And from that time, the patient will be monitored remotely, not even by people, but by algorithms. And those patients or those data points of patients after being discharged that would require the attention of human physicians will be flagged by the AI system. That's how I can ideally envision this process. Do you think that AI should read the image from the scanner instead of the doctor, as diagnostic machines have to compress a lot of data to make it visible to human eye? It's a great question. I think, thank you, Kamal. In the case of the ultrasound, I think both of them should see it. But your question is very valid when it comes to magnetic resonance imaging. You know, in MR imaging, the system, the device has to transform the spin states into an image that the human eye can read. But I've seen studies showing that artificial intelligence doesn't need to see the image. AI can already make a decision based on the spin states that the device as a data set can provide. But then what if the AI makes a mistake and we people can't even recheck it or reconfirm it because there is no image to analyze? So maybe that's why, for the sake of explainable AI, we will always need a sort of image for physicians to analyze. Hi, Dave. Thank you for the excellent question. Let me think about it for a while. Could we get to the point where we can deliver devices to patients' homes, conduct an appointment, and then return the devices? Big picture, I'm thinking drone delivery. It sounds like a science fiction movie and it sounds intriguing, but I just don't see it happening in practice. I see those technologies being the most successful that patients already owned. Their smartphones, maybe a smartwatch, maybe Alexa at home, something they owned already, and we don't have to ship them something that they need to set up and then use and then send it back. But then what about privacy? What if I can't log out because I don't have those technical skills? So instead of that, I think building upon the devices patients already own is a much more realistic scenario for this. Vanya Ivanovic, that's a good question. What about portable hospitals and laboratories? Um, I think we are talking about the same thing, but I always talk about at-home lab tests and point-of-care diagnostics. Same devices, same lab tests as we used to use at the hospital, but now those are being used at home. There is a boom these days for at-home lab tests and telehealth consultation services, even for health sensors and fitness smartwatches with built-in ECG. I think these have been becoming reality, and we don't have to make the hospital portable. We only have to make the data portable, and then the point of care is what matters. Whether it's the patient or the hospital, it doesn't matter anymore. All right, just for a second, I switch back to the Eventbrite site to show you a few things. Yeah, there are so many good questions coming through there. Jose Quintini asked the question that I understand the question and why there's a need for that. Uh, you can see it yet. No, not that one. We are almost there. Now, so how can AI help in processes related to hospital pharmacies? I'm trying to be practical here. On a practical level, I don't see AI being used by hospital pharmacies. Maybe the robot dispenser systems that work in the background of those pharmacies could implement some form of automation for which they require algorithms, but I don't even think it's artificial intelligence per se. It's just algorithms that can operate those robots and machines. Maybe what the way I can imagine this is on the big picture using AI to maybe better organize a supply chain among hospital pharmacies, but this is just a wild idea. I don't see this happening in practice. I'm afraid, I guess you ask because you would love to use this in hospital pharmacy. I just don't see any practical uses of it for now. For now, maybe it changes in the future. Wow, John Jenner had a question about how to prepare staff for these upcoming changes through strong education, through talking about these issues, through making them feel like what patients go through, what the consumers from the future go through while using these technologies. You can't understand the consumer from the future without you becoming one. I guarantee you that. So yeah, we have to make them use such technologies. We have to make them feel like how easy it is to get lost in the jungle of data when it comes to using digital health devices. Katarina Dobriu has a question I think I touched upon already, partially. How will remote care complement the in-clinic care, and what's left for the hospitals to do when telemedicine and medical devices will play a bigger role? Big radiology devices, intensive acute care, and maybe serving as a wellness center. But that's like at least a decade away in the future and only in quite rich countries. The practical reality, I think, will be more about making physicians spend half their time doing in-person visits and then half their time doing telemedicine visits, even from the hospital. For that, they will need different spaces. That's why design is so crucial. I'm sure that I will need people in the hospital making, trying to find meaning in my bunch of data. But for that, I want my data to arrive to the hospital before I do, or I don't even go there, just my data. So there are many reasons why hospitals have a strong future. It's just that their role will have to change from what they are today, taking care of the sick. It's unsustainable, it's incredibly expensive and inefficient, even globally. All right. I love David Chakrin had a question. That's an important topic, but I'm smiling because it's impossible to answer that question. So how can we utilize the technology we have today to impact not only the healthcare of individuals, but also use it to ensure key social determinants of health are met, as well as such as access to care, food insecurity, housing, and many other aspects? In an ideal world, we would keep on introducing advanced technologies like food sensors, health sensors, smartwatches, telemedicine services, and so on. And people would use it in the right way, in a safe way, with good regulations and good enough incentives for physicians to take part in all that and act as a guide for their patients in this jungle of data and information. But in reality, it's going to be like an individual war against healthcare, that you will realize that it depends on you what kind of healthcare you can win for yourself, you can get to yourself through the data you measure about yourself and the care you get access to, or the technologies you can see and you can find. I think you will decide what kind of healthcare you can create for yourself. I know it sounds like a dystopic image, a very dark dystopic image. I guess it is, but I don't see how we could create such a utopia when using digital health technologies, seeing how the stakeholders of healthcare, policymakers especially, have been dealing with technologies before. I'm just too pessimistic about that. All right. All right, I'm jumping back to the live stream. Futuristic question. I love those. Dev Malaya Sarkar. How do you see diagnostics business models evolving from their current forms? Which specific models would you bet on? Well, I like those models that use some elements of traditional models and also build upon innovative methods. One example is a pharma company developing an innovative medication, but using a digital health service, an app, a technology, a sensor connected to the medication, and selling that package to consumers. And healthcare providers reward those packages more because it leads to better compliance, maybe fewer side effects. In general, a more efficient healthcare system. I would bet on those medications, digital health services, technologies, combos. Wow, you have excellent questions and long ones too. It even takes time for me to read all of them. And I'm trying to first choose questions from those who haven't asked before. And then I will go back. Roskek, will internet surgeries be a thing? Say you are in Europe and want a surgery, but there aren't any surgeons for it where you live. Could you get the surgery from a surgeon in the US through the internet? What an excellent question. We've seen remote operations because of 5G, but those are very much planned ahead. It's not like you just jump into a clinic and they can do it right away. And because for that you need surgical robots, you need an excellent connection with strength and bandwidth and everything else, and the right people who can operate those machines even from afar. So not in acute care, I can't imagine that for the time for now as things stand today. Paul 669, you're right. During the virus, during the COVID-19, the extensive use of telemedicine has helped reduce inequalities by improving access to the telehealth system. What if I challenge you? It's only valid for those having access to technologies like smartphones or video consultation services. For those who have no technologies like that, they are even further away from accessing healthcare. So I'm not sure if that's the case. Of course, it has improved and it has always been improving, but I can't be that optimistic about healthcare inequality being solved because of digital health technologies for now. I think cultural solutions will be better suited to address those needs than technological ones. Pedro, of course, not just in Spanish hospitals, but worldwide. As digital health is making healthcare globalized, that's something we should keep in mind. Of course, it looks like no, and now it looks like it's crucial to integrate this knowledge in medical curricula. Can you mention some positive examples in this regard? Of course, I even published the medical curriculum I used in my course at Semmelweis Medical School about how to integrate digital health knowledge, digital health literacy into the curriculum for medical students. Otherwise, we checked, and I've only seen about 5 courses. And Judith Cusco, our editor-in-chief, is with you in the chat today. And I would like to ask her to include that article that we wrote about how to upskill medical students, how to allow medical students to be medical students in the 21st century. The title was something like that. Pulkit 7, soon we will cure disease with a cell, not a pill. What's your take on that? I'm not sure what you are referring to. I guess maybe stem cell therapies or therapies that require in vitro cell lines, maybe to like in cancers, some of the cancer diseases, to make sure that we get some samples from the stem cell of the patient, and then we try to make those cells becoming more sensitive to a certain medication, and then reintroducing those cells into the body. That's something I can imagine, but otherwise I'm not sure what you're referring to. Oh, Julio Reina Faria Reina. I hope I pronounce your name the right way. I'm sorry if I didn't. What do you think about hybrid services where doctors use telehealth and mobile diagnostic units? I've seen those kiosks. You know what I'm talking about here? Let me. Those kiosks were introduced a few years ago, mostly like in malls and shopping centers. And the idea was that you just go into such a kiosk and they can measure so many things about you, vital signs, health parameters. You can have a discussion with a doctor through video consultation, and then you come out and you are cured. I know this was a not really working business model, especially because most of these technologies are now in my phone and I don't need the kiosk for the same purpose. So that's why I don't think that Such hybrid systems are viable models. Okay. Wow, so many questions, guys. Please keep them coming. We have some more time. What is the okay? I will read for you out loud the first part of the question and then this part. You mentioned efficiencies and technology-driven interventions as the future of healthcare in hospitals. What is the risk of reducing or eliminating human interaction for medical care? The risk is huge for many purposes, for many reasons. One is that patients need human interaction. Empathy is reflective. So, as patients are social beings, they will need empathy forever, even when decisions are made by AI. Second is that in the 5 levels of automation, even in the fourth level, we have an AI system flagging complicated cases for physicians to analyze. So the human eye can still, human expertise is still needed. And I don't see full automation happening in healthcare anytime soon. Even with the fourth level, we will need the flagging system, for which you will need human interaction and peers discussing this among themselves, or because of empathy, patients discussing these things with physicians. Finlay, of course, I'm familiar with the Topol review done for NHS in 2019. Do you think this addresses that question well? I mean, the Topol review is simply excellent, and I can't imagine how lucky the NHS is for being able to win for themselves that Dr. Eric Topol, the biggest name in digital health, for that purpose. Every country needs its Topol review, so absolutely, they addressed the initial point or intention of that study. Adam, how do you see the future of ambulance acute patient transportation? We have an article about that, and I don't want to spend too much time here. Judith can share the article with you. It's about the future of emergency medicine, and we talk there about ride-sharing services used for ambulances, artificial intelligence being used in logistics for those ambulances, AI being used for better patient management. Therefore, there are no skipped or canceled meetings, which cost a lot even in the US healthcare system. I hope you will find plenty of examples in that. Jung Vok Min Park, how do you feel? Thank you. I'm feeling very well. I hope you are doing well too. Oh, Yudi, I can shed a light on few uses of AI in hospital pharmacy, AI guided medication dosing and monitoring, identification of drug-drug interactions. Excellent. If you have any practical examples, please feel free to include a link in the chat section so we can all check it out. How likely, Auke Thielen, I hope I pronounce your name the right way. How likely will it be that Big Five in one way or another will open their own hospitals in the US or abroad? And what kind of effect would this have on the existing hospital? That the Big Five, do you mean the Big Five tech companies like Amazon launching now telehealth services for their own employees in more than 30 states? I don't think they will open hospitals though. That's not what they are good at. They are good at using technologies or providing services through technologies people like to use. Telehealth is an excellent example. Pharmacies can play a role in that. Health sensors being sent to patients' homes. In those cases, I very much see a big future for big tech companies, but not for launching their own hospitals. Services, yeah, but not hospital buildings. Salim El Dirani, do you think bioprinting should be used in education? Absolutely, I think that. I even teach medical students about the basics of bioprinting and what bioprinting means, what the challenges and limitations are, and what could possibly be done with that technology even 5 years from now. Yeah, because physicians will come across bioprinted tissues, so they have to know how to use them. Jake Peterson, will perfusionists be replaced by AI? I'm not sure if any medical professional will be replaced by AI. I'm sure that those medical professionals who use AI will replace those that don't. Maybe that's how I can formulate this in the most efficient way. Kwame Amofa has an excellent question. You all have excellent questions. Thank you so much for asking these great questions. Should homes be redesigned to have isolation rooms the same way houses have basements? What are the absolute digital health devices the modern home must have? You mean for telehealth consultation to have that, peace of mind that you can have a silent room for yourself, and maybe that's why. Um, I don't see that happening. I see the need for isolation rooms for physicians providing telehealth services within the hospitals, because now they don't have the spaces for conducting telehealth services in the, efficient, silent, peaceful way. And the absolute must-have digital health devices in a modern home, I assume, would be an ECG device connected to a smartphone. Actually, I have we published the medical black bag of the future, and 7 things were included in that: a blood pressure cuff, an ECG device, a fitness tracker, a sleep tracker, a portable ultrasound device, maybe a food sensor, and something else. But we have a video and an article about that. The 7 must-have technologies in a medical black bag of the future. Can we build systems which could predict bacterial MDR bacterial pandemic? It is possible to build AI-based systems that can predict the outbreaks of such infections. It even happened with the coronavirus back in December 2019, when the Canadian startup Blue Dot came up with the first warning sign. All right, Benjamin Frey. Future technologies and AI in the help of reproduction, in vitro fertilization. Infertility is a growing problem, and we barely have enough solutions to fight this problem. Excellent question. We had an article a few weeks back on medicalfuturist.com. I'm sure Judith can share it with you, about sexual health in general, and in that we did talk about infertility too. Gergely Tori, what an amazing question you have here. Can you describe how the ethical framework of the doctor-patient relationship will change by using AI, telemedicine, and so on? The same way it has changed by using smartphones or websites or health sensors. At the core of it, we will always find compassionate care, a relationship based on trust. But physicians must have the right knowledge and the skill set, the digital literacy, to be able to teach their patients about how to use these technologies in the right way. When to turn to telemedicine and not, grab the phone or go to a ambulance emergency care service. What kind of lab results we can discuss online and which ones we should only discuss in person. What kind of messages and questions you can send by email, and which are the questions that we should only discuss in person. These things must be discussed, and medical professionals must lead this way. And this is the ethical framework, that medical professionals receive the right knowledge about being able to teach patients for these, and then they build a relationship based on trust by, collaboration, by being equal partners in the process. Uni, it's a fair question. Maybe the kiosk is what will help the disadvantaged to access digital health. I assume so, but I saw a study a few days ago that showed that digital health mentors can help other patients so much about becoming better at health management. And that wasn't about giving them access to technologies, but just helping them learn about their health management and using technologies in the learning process, but they don't leave the technologies with those patients. Maybe kiosks could be useful, but they haven't been able to show that for now. Dennis Grown, I do agree, patients do need empathy, but with the growing technology on digital humans, perhaps digital humans can fill a part of this gap. By digital humans, you mean like HumMod, the digital model of the human physiology? Can you please clarify what you mean by that? Because I haven't seen digital humans for now, only real humans. How 5G and blockchain can help in future hospitals. Blockchain can help about keeping the privacy intact within the hospital's health IT infrastructure. And 5G can help make sure that remote care, video consultation services, or even remote operations could take place safely enough that because of the connection is strong enough for that. This question, I think this is the only question that whatever topics we have in mind for the stream, these questions always come out. Can AI make doctors jobless? It won't take place. It's simply, that's not how it works. I mean, I wish that was the case, that AI was so efficient, AI was so amazingly complex that it could make the best medical decisions so we are not needed anymore. Really, get to that stage, but we are decades away from that. What's happening instead is that AI is becoming really amazing at doing a very well-defined single task. That's why we have artificial narrow intelligence today. And with artificial narrow intelligence, we can support the decision-making of physicians, patient or their health or disease management, drug-drug interactions, drug design. We can help all these processes, but not by replacing physicians. That's unfortunately not going to happen anytime soon. I'm saying unfortunately because that would mean that AI has come to almost the stage of artificial general intelligence, making our lives better globally. Let's get to that stage, but again, we are so far away from that. Finlay, COVID forced us to make a compromise between society's right to data privacy and public health, especially in contact tracing. Will we have to make a similar compromise with healthcare tech? What a beautiful question, Finlay. Thank you so much for asking that. Yes, I think that's the case. It's not the case because of COVID. It was the case before that. I've been for almost a decade. I've been saying that it's physically impossible to have a digital health artificial intelligence revolution without losing some of our privacy. The issue is if you are the one deciding how much of your privacy you are willing to give up in exchange for a longer and healthier life, you should ethically be okay. When you cease to be that person making that decision for yourself, but your government, your healthcare provider, your health insurance company, or a tech company does that, then we are in trouble. XYZ, what a beautiful name. What changes can happen in universities of medicine, and is it necessary to begin studying technology in med schools? They have always studied technologies in med schools. I've learned about medical magnetic resonance imaging, 15 years ago, but digital technology has never been part of medical curriculums, and only the last 2 years or so that it has become the case that there are courses worldwide, like at Semmelweis Medical School, at Mount Sinai School, where you see good courses being implemented. So of course, medical students should learn about such technologies. They will use those and their patients will ask questions about those. So they have to know about them. Adam Schmidt, do you know any solution for empowering patient caregivers, I guess, with knowledge for home care? Oh, okay. Understanding the disease, reassurance. Good question. It's quite a specific question. I don't think I've seen good examples besides medical professionals having discussions, even remotely, with those caregivers. There are websites where you can see animations about diseases and great descriptions about this, medscape.com, for example. There are patient communities like smartpatients.com where you can find such discussions, but I haven't seen a good technology I could recommend you that if they choose or use that technology or that service, then it becomes easier to educate those patients. I'm afraid it still takes place through communication with them by medical professionals. Oh, avatars, Dennis, thank you. I understand that avatars might give a feeling for patients that they are being taken care of, but empathy is reflective. I only feel empathy from you because I trust you. And if I don't trust a chatbot or an avatar, I won't feel empathy either. And maybe that could be that could be an issue. But of course, with doctor shortages worldwide, we will need some form of similar technology to fill the gap. I'm just saying that it will not come automatically with providing empathy too. Gergely Tori, of course, my pleasure. I feel technological revolution will be a revolution for medical ethics as well. I have no doubts about that. Just imagine the ethics of adaptive algorithms. As a company, we create an algorithm for a medical purpose, but then the machine learning algorithm becomes different with every decision it makes and better. So when it makes an issue about liability, am I responsible? I didn't even write that code. I wrote a different code back then. So yeah, ethics will change with that too. All right. HV Sync. Well, hey, bro, I want to start a MedTech company. Okay. From scratch. What should be the initial step? Please guide it. Hop, hop, hop. Now, please guide. First of all, find out the patient need, a clinical need, or a healthcare need that could be met by your solution or technology. If you see a need that is not met, you have something to work on. The more specific need you might find, the bigger chance you will have to create something useful for the medical community worldwide. Grant Odo, yeah, of course. Thank you for being here in the Q&A session. Pogit7, how do you see Neuralink? Will it be safe? Is it necessary? Three very different questions. I don't think it's necessary, but it seems inevitable to have such technologies in action. I see it as somebody being skeptic about such advanced technologies before seeing scientific proof that those work. When I see the studies, I will be their biggest supporter. And will it be safe? Well, we have to see the studies to see how safe they can be. It can be safe on a pig, but when it comes to patients' lives at risk in healthcare, safety becomes just jumps to a different level here. Could robots replace nurses? Will it be efficient? We don't see that happening. In Japan, I've seen robot nurses going around in hospitals with doctor and healthcare professional shortages. So if there is no nurse, then the robot is better than nothing. But to buy a robot to replace a nurse, it simply doesn't add up. It's so much more expensive. I'm sorry for being that material practical here. It's so much more expensive and complex to build a robot for doing the job of a nurse than to hire a nurse that it simply doesn't make any sense. All right, we have a few more minutes and I can jump back to, we have a few more questions left in the Eventbrite website. Wow, there is a question from the editorial board of a Journal of Medical Internet Research. How scientific publications and cutting-edge research fit into this AI-based world? Well, someone will have to sort this out and help us understand what studies AI is coming up with, what results AI finds in clinical trials, and we will need people who have had experience with that even for decades. So scientific journalism and publications very much have a space, have a role in this AI-based world. All right. So when thinking about future design of hospitals, one could say that, well, here is a design. Hospitals will look like this. I'm not so sure about that. If you lay there in that bed, knowing that this is you can only see people, professionals, your family members through a two-dimensional screen, like we do every day during the pandemic, that this wall is not a window. This is a LED wall, and this is fake. And to project your information about your health, vital signs and health parameters on big screens so you can watch them all day long, I'm not sure if I wanted that. I would love to lay in a bed in half nature around flowers and nature, and I would love to know that my data is being obtained, is being sent to the hospital, and I'm being taken care of, and I just have to recover. I just have to focus on recovering. That's how I see the future of design in hospitals, not through shiny hospital buildings and all those things like that. So thank you so much for being here, for asking all these amazing, I can't even count how many questions I hope I could answer all of them or most of them. One more thing here from Roskak. Do you think in silico trials will be powerful enough to replace clinical trials until the end, or at least make them much more faster? You made the question easy with the last part. Of course, in silico trials will make clinical trials much, much faster and more cost effective and cheaper, but it will take time until we can replace at least a tiny segment of clinical trials with in silico trials, with artificial intelligence, with the human physiological models like HuMod. I see that happening, but if it's 2030, I would say like 5% of clinical trial or 10% maybe could get replaced by in silico, but not more than that. So thank you again for being here. You're more than welcome to check out the Medical Futurist YouTube channel. We are almost at 50,000 subscribers, so please subscribe to the YouTube channel so you won't miss any of these live sessions in the near future. Please check out medicalfuturist.com. You can see all the analysis we publish. We have channels on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and we publish analysis about news about digital health and AI many times every single day. And everything we publish is for free. You can access all these data, all of our papers, all the analysis for free. But if you want to support what we do, so we can keep on doing that, because we don't have advertisements or sponsorships on the site, you can do that by becoming a patron on patreon.com/themedicalfuturist. And this way, even with $3, you can support the Medical Futurist team, and we can keep on providing content for you for free across all these platforms and everything else. Dave, thank you so much for the kind words, and for all of you out there, I hope you are safe and you get vaccinated. I can't wait to get my vaccine, hopefully as soon as possible, and we can get over this nonsense, this awful pandemic that has been going on for so much time now. We will have many more live Q&As. We will announce the topics in the future. And if there is one thing I can ask from you, if there is one specific topic within future of healthcare, future of medicine, digital health, AI, that you are very much interested in, like one word, one expression, can you please share it with us right now so I can see what kind of topics you would like us to feature in the next episodes, in the next live sessions? Any topics that make you excited, topics where you would have a lot of questions about those issues, please do share. It can be a technology or an issue, an aspect about the future of healthcare. Variables, I see, well, I've tested more than 100 of variables, so we can dedicate a session to those for sure. Anything else? Any other topics that you are excited about, interested in for the next couple of sessions? Practical steps we can take now, okay? I can't even drink anymore. We had emails about talking about at-home lab tests, all right? That's an exciting topic, Adam. Thank you for sharing that idea. I had a question before about the levels of automation in AI. I plan to dedicate a session to that, so we can talk about that too. Hopefully, we won't have to talk about COVID anymore. I guess it's not going to be the case. But thank you so much again for these insights, the questions, the suggestions, and everything else. Thank you for being with us all the time. And I hope to see you in the next live sessions too. And thank you in the name of the Medical Futurist team. Please stay safe and see you soon. Bye.